Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into our most exciting recap show of the year and our final recap show of the year. And what a way to end it. Ole Miss 2022 national champions. I did not think I would have a chance to say that just a few short weeks ago. And yet here we are. The Rebs got hot and they stayed hot all the way through. And what an amazing performance by the Rebels as they finish off Oklahoma in 2 games, something both Chris and I did not think was going to happen, was either team getting swept in this series, but we'll take it. What a day, Chris. What a day.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. Most exciting post-game show ever, probably. Super excited. I can't wait to get out on the town, to be very honest. So this might be a little shorter than usual, but super excited for the guys. You know, all their hard work came into play, and just the struggles they went through. And I'll pull up a quote from Tim in just a second. But just the struggle of the season, and we all know the story, so we're not going to rehash it today. But just an incredible comeback victory, which we haven't seen that in the World Series yet for Ole Miss. I believe in every game they've won, they've led the whole way. So that was cool to see. The bottom of the eighth was electric. Couldn't remember whether we were the home team or the away team for just a second. It's tough to remember when you're here in Omaha and it's a neutral site. So that was really electric, really cool. And, obviously, after we started putting multiple runs on the board, it was the countdown. The countdown was on. And so I mean, just elated for the guys. I guess I can go a little further than excited, but elated for the guys, elated for their families, elated for Coach Bianco, Coach Clement, Coach Lafferty, Coach Cleary, their families. These guys put in a ton of work throughout the whole year, and to see them be rewarded and to win the last game, which, there's a ton of baseball teams that don't, but there's 63 teams in this tournament that don't get the opportunity to do that. And so this is an exciting time to be a Rebel. And folks, y'all need to remember where you were on June 26, 2022, because there will never be another first national championship for our baseball program.
Yeah, and my goodness, I am so glad I got to be here and experienced it in person. I would have kicked myself forever if I wouldn't have been able to come here and experience this. And my goodness, I will say, Chris, not to brag, but since I came on with the Rebel Walk, Ole Miss went 18-4, won a national championship in baseball. Just throwing that out there. I think Cardboard Kenny certainly had something to do with it as well. He brought some luck here with him. So I think it was a combination of both of us being here, along with Remax of Orange Beach and Dead Soxy jumping on board, with just a whole lot of things working well for the Rebel Walk that led to this national championship. But in all seriousness, just an absolutely fantastic run. Mike Bianco, I mean, it's hard for him to talk about emotions right now. He talked about that in the press conference. Like, everybody wants to ask about your emotions, but just the way that this group in particular means to him, just the adversity that they went through, and just what great kids they are. And I mean, you talk about just relief for everyone involved, for Mike as a coach who's been coaching for 25 plus years now, but at Ole Miss for 22 years, and to finally break through and get that national championship, for Tim Elko and Kevin Graham and Justin Bench and all the guys that came back for this, just to experience this elation. Like, your last game in an Ole Miss uniform is the last game of the season, and you won it, and it's just, I can't personally even think about how they feel, because I wasn't part of the team. They can only do that. But I'm sure tonight they're going to really soak it in. It's going to sink in, positive and the negative. Obviously, the negative of being done at Ole Miss is going to sink in. But I think first and foremost, they're not worried about that right now, because doggone it, they just won a national championship.
Yeah, as you pointed out earlier in the week, Kevin does have an extra year of eligibility, so he's welcome to come back, and obviously we'd love to see him. But I just want to talk a little about Tim for a second, because I mean, there's not much more you can say about it. Jokingly, one of the reporters in the interview asked, where do you want your statue to be built? And the thing about that, the answer was just shows you what a team guy Tim is. Tim says, I really don't want a statue. He goes, I don't like a statue of all of us. And so that to me shows, what a leader of men he is and what a team guy he is. He did talk a little bit about his time at Ole Miss and kind of the struggle that they went through this year. And it was really cool to see. He said it was the best decision he could have ever made. It was a crazy road to get where we are, but I remember after we lost to Mississippi State at home, called my sister in the car, and she knew that we obviously were struggling. It was kind of a little bit of a toll on me. I remember talking to her, and she said, "You've got to trust God." And then he said that he prayed out loud, and God kept telling him to believe. And Tim, it seemed like he didn't really want to believe or couldn't believe, and so he just let it go, and look where he is today. And so I just can't say enough about the guys. The pitching today. We hit a bump in the sixth with Oklahoma, got lucky on a review, maybe not lucky, but, fortunate on a review. That was a little bit crazy. That was disastrous. I'm sure everybody saw on the TV, but I could see a great view from the press box. Tim's glove actually almost landed on the outfield grass from how hard the Oklahoma player had knocked it off. So that was a little weird to me. Glad Tim's okay. I'm sure he's going to be really fine this evening. But just to be on the field after the game and to see the Rebel fan base, and the stadium rocked for, I don't know how long the broadcast went for, but the stadium rocked for 30 minutes. There were people standing on dugouts that they weren't supposed to be. There were probably a few people that tried to come onto the field, which obviously is very frowned upon. And probably somebody's not having a great night anymore. But the support that the fans have provided all week long has just been phenomenal. So I take my hat off to the people that came up this weekend that have been here all week. I'm just gushing.
Yeah, of course, going out to the field after the game was over, and once we were allowed to go onto the field as media, they had the players obviously coming up on the stage to get their awards, and I have never heard a louder hotty-toddy chant in person, even at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, which holds 60,000+ people. I don't think I've personally, and maybe it's because being in the stands, you don't notice it as much. Being down on the field, you kind of hear it coming at you. But that was the loudest hotty-toddy chant I've ever heard in my life out there on the field. The fans stuck around. They were insane out there. It was a massive Ole Miss crowd yet again. There was almost 26,000 people here today, and well over 20,000 of those were Ole Miss fans. By far a 90-10 split easily when it comes to the crowd here today. And the players fed off of it yet again. And it was just amazing to see. Obviously, the crowd got into it in the crazy innings we had there towards the end. You couldn't have drawn up a better game, honestly, for how this season was going to end than what we had. Obviously, that interference call by the letter of the rule, that is exactly how it's written. The call was correct. Obviously, Oklahoma fans disagree, but that is the correct call. They actually handed us out the rule from the NCAA's website here in the press box. And then obviously Ole Miss responds. Jacob Gonzalez, my goodness, he breaks out of a funk in a big way with a solo home run to give the Rebels the lead. Oklahoma responds right back, gets a couple of runs, but then Ole Miss never down. They might be down, but they're not out. And Ole Miss improves now to 27-7 at the end of the year when scoring first in games this year. And I can't say enough about this team and what a special ride it's been with me being able to be a part of this team. Not for as long as others have been a part of it, but man, it's been an awesome ride.
It truly has. And to say this team is legendary is kind of an understatement. I was able to visit just briefly with David DeLucci down on the field at the end of the game. And, this victory, and he knows it, and the rest of the team knows it, it doesn't just belong to them, but it belongs to the other guys on the roster that didn't travel with them. But it also belongs to the people like Thomas Dillard and Gray Kessinger and the guys before them, the 2014 group that made it here, the Earl Robinsons, the Colby Bortles, the J.B. Woodmans, the Sykes Orvises, and I could go on and on. Will Allen, Braxton Lee, just a whole bunch of great athletes that have played at Ole Miss. And I know that there's a lot of love coming to our players, our current players from them. And I hope that they're feeling the love today too, because it's a program win. It's not just a team win.
Yeah, obviously, there are so many people that have been involved with Ole Miss baseball that are going to savor every minute of this. Now, obviously, the first ever national championship, this team did it. So they will always be able to say that we were the team that gave Ole Miss the first national championship, but this is one of the most selfless groups of guys I've ever been around, and they'll never brag about it, like to look at us, look how good we were. It's always going to be pointing it to someone else, and that's what I love so much about these guys, and that's what Mike Bianco has done here with a culture around Ole Miss baseball, is to put selflessness and the team comes first, and that's what every one of these guys demonstrated all year long when they were struggling, when they were down, just talking about we just stayed together. We just believed. Every guy on this team had a part of this, and they did. Guys like Garrett Wood, who didn't see a ton of action, he was a part of it. Guys like Jack Doherty, who didn't get his start since March until yesterday, and look what a start it was. Guys like that, just this entire roster top to bottom, all the coaches, for Mike Clement, who's been here for years as well, just guys like that who have just been pouring into this team. Carl Lafferty, all those guys, even your volunteer coaches like Chris Clary. Wow, I can't talk. Just all these guys, man, it just means the world to them. And I, as a fan of Ole Miss, this is a day I've looked forward to for a long time. And to be able to experience this in person was just something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, and I think it's, you talked about some of the guys, but I want to try to single out some of the guys that you didn't talk about. Derek Diamond, Reagan Burford, Hayden Leatherwood, John Kramer, Mitch Morrell, Drew McDaniel, Max Chofie, Josh Mallitz, Jackson Kimmerell. We talked about Gaddis, Ben Van Cleve, the guy whose dream it was to come to Ole Miss and play baseball, has now, going to have a national championship ring on his finger forever. Gary, we talked about Dylan DeLucia, obviously the tournament MVP. Wow, just phenomenal. And, Jack Washburn, the transfer from Oregon State. Just, I really wanted to make sure we mentioned everybody's name because they're really so valuable to the team. Calvin Harris, really everybody. So really, really cool.
Yeah, and speaking of John Gaddis, he's going to have the win in this game under his belt. He actually got the win when he came on in relief. But just a fantastic journey for all these guys. Actually, when I was standing out there, a few of us were talking to a couple of players, and Tim Elko runs up to Derek Diamond, puts both hands on his shoulders, looks at him, and he says, "Are you good?" And Derek kind of was just standing there, and he goes, "We did it!" And he lets out this Ric Flair yell. And shakes Derek back and forth. And just it's amazing to see these guys. The first thing they think about is going up to their teammates and just experiencing the moment with each other. And that's something that you just don't see all the time. And, I mean, these guys it means the world to them. They fought long and hard to get to this point. And, my goodness, we'll never forget this, Chris. We will never forget June 26, 2022, that Ole Miss baseball and Tim Elko and Justin Bench and Kevin Graham and Dylan DeLucia, who went from transfer to MVP of the College World Series this year. I mean, just all like you said, name everybody on the team. We'll never forget this team. This team will be forever etched in Ole Miss lore and Ole Miss history forever. And Mike Bianco can now say he is a national championship coach, and nobody is going to be running Mike out of town. I can tell you that much.
No doubt. And it's really interesting. I saw Keith Carter in the press room after the game, and I said, "Well, are you going to give Mike a few days off?" He goes, "He can do whatever he wants." He goes, "But he leaves Wednesday to go coach the national team." So, no rest for the weary. I'm sure it's going to be a huge honor for Mike, and I'm sure everybody's going to love on him when he's out with the national team and show him the love and respect that he deserves because he does. He deserved it before this weekend, but this weekend just absolutely cements his legacy as, the greatest coach in Ole Miss history. He built the program from where it was, which was, probably a 3,000-seat stadium to, drawn in 12,000 on a weekend to being national champions, which is just an incredible thing to say. I didn't know that we were going to get there in my lifetime, but we are. We're national champions.
Yeah. I mean, Keith Carter actually said to the SEC network or the Ole Miss network, I can't remember which, but he said Mike will be at Ole Miss for as long as he wants to be at Ole Miss. That was exactly what he said, and I'm so happy for Mike. I mean, just all the criticism that man has faced all throughout this year, all the adversity that him and his team had faced, and he handled it like the consummate professional that he is. And now he is holding up that trophy with his team at the end. A Gatorade bath for the ages out there on the field after the game. Called him right in the middle of an interview. He didn't see this one coming like he saw it coming in Hattiesburg. They got him good. And it was a fantastic moment, man. Just to sit there and watch this team and win. I mean, we're national champions. I mean, Ole Miss is the national champions, and I will forever be grateful to be a part of this incredible journey. Not that I contributed anything, but just to be a part of it as a fan and as a member of the media just means the world. It's something that Ole Miss fans have waited on for a long time, and unless you're 60 or 70 years old, you've never witnessed a national championship for Ole Miss in any sport, major sport. So this is a big deal.
There's no doubt, and it's really funny because the first words out of Mike's mouth when he was interviewed in the press room, I don't know what they were on the field, but he said, "Just so proud," which is very typical Mike Bianco. If you've ever sat through a Mike Bianco interview or heard him interviewed on the radio, he uses the proud word a lot. But it's different right now.
It is indeed. Well, I know the team is going to soak up the moment. Ben Van Cleve tweeted out a few minutes ago that he hopes to see us around Omaha tonight, so I know they're going to be enjoying this win. The team's going to really soak it in before they head back to Oxford tomorrow. I know there's going to be a big welcoming party tomorrow. They were tweeting that out a few minutes ago. They're going to go through the Walk of Champions and all that good stuff. But what a moment what a moment, what a day in Ole Miss sports history, one of the biggest days in Ole Miss sports history, and it is right here at Charles Schwab Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska. The Ole Miss Rebels are your 2022 baseball national champions, just 1 year removed from another Mississippi school doing it. Ole Miss keeps the trophy in the Magnolia State, and the Rebels are on top of the college baseball world at the end of this season. What a time to be alive, Chris Mueller. We get to go celebrate that tonight. I know I'm going to enjoy it. I know you're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be a fun night tonight, and then we'll all be heading back home tomorrow and getting back to reality, unfortunately. But as it is, we'll enjoy this for as long as we can.
I'm excited. I'm ready to get out and enjoy it with the fans because, Ole Miss fans don't have a lot to cheer about all the time, but I hope the folks in Oxford are having the best time of their lives. I hope the mayors extended the hours tonight for whichever establishments are able to be open. If not, I hope you go find some beverages that you can enjoy into the late evenings, because this is, again, a day you'll remember for the rest of your lives. Hotty Toddy, super happy. Can't wait to do draft coverage when it comes around and look forward to, the 2023 team. But let's celebrate the 2022 team tonight. Hotty Toddy.
Hotty Toddy. And one final note, I do want to say congratulations to David Kellum, who is just one of the consummate professionals in the business and has been at Ole Miss since the 70s in some capacity as their play-by-play guy, and he's finally gotten to call a national championship. So congrats, DK. You're my hero when it comes to broadcasting, and I'm glad you got to finally call that national championship. He struck him out. What a call. It will go down forever as my all-time favorite. He struck him out call from David Kellum for sure. But as it is, like Chris said, Hotty Toddy, enjoy tonight, soak it all in, and congratulations to the Ole Miss Rebels, the 2022 national champions. And thank you all for tuning in all baseball season long, and we'll keep you updated for our next live show for whatever sport and whenever that will be. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.